Good morning to you all. My name is Arjun Singh Rana and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'll be solving the question number 448 in LeetCode with the title Find all the numbers disappeared in an array. Now it is a question of easy difficulty level which covers the topics like arrays hash table. Now coming to the question itself, it says that given an array nums of n integers where num I is in the range of 1 to n, return an array of all the integers in the range 1 to n that do not appear in the nums. Okay, so it is saying is that we have been provided with an array which is named as nums, and it contains n integers, and the range of those integers will vary from 1 till n. So for example, we have an array of size 3, then the integers can only be vary from 1 to 3, not exceeding or not exceeding 3 and not preceding 1. So array would contain elements like 1, 2, 2, like 3, 3, 3. All three elements are 3, but not exceeding 3. All elements would be 1, but not preceding 1, like 0, 0, 0. It is not possible because we have a range over here that we need to follow. Now we have to provide the list of, or you can say the array of all the integers that are missing from that array. Let's come to the first example. As we can see that the nums array that we have been provided with is here like this, which contains 4, 3, 2, 7, 8, 2, 3, 1. So the output over here is the 5 and 6, which means that 6 and 5 are not away present in the nums array. Now let us first see how 5 and 6 is coming. Now let me just first count the total number of array, the length of array that we have been given, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the length of the nums array in the first example is 8. So it should only contain integers in the range of 1 to 8. Now we'll start iterating from 1 only, 1 onwards. So we are iterating from will be calculating from the seeing from the first number, which is 1. So we'll go from 1. 1 is present, 2 is present, 3 is present. So as you can see, 2 and 3 is present twice. So these are the duplicates number, but it still does not violate the rule that it should not exceed the range from 1 to n, which is for this question, which is 1 to 8. So as we can see that 3 and 2 can occur multiple times. So as you can see that 3 and 2 are coming twice. So ignoring 3 and 2, duplicate 3 and 2, the next number is 4, and the next number is 7, and the next number is 8. So as we can see that 5 and 6 have been disappeared, and it has been taken by the duplicate 3 and 2. That's why the output is 5 and 6 over here. Now coming to the example number 2, as we can see, the length of the array is 2 over here. So it would only contain the integers within the range of 1 and 2. So after that, as you can see that there are two ones over here and 2 is absent from the whole list. That's why the output is 2 over here. Now coming to the solution of this, the solution of the whole code is a bit complex. So first I'll simply let you I first explain the first loop, then I'll show you through the dry run. First I created a list integer. As you know that as you can see that the function demands the answer, or the function demands that we should return the answer inside a list of which would contain the elements in data type of integer. That's why I created a list of integer data type which would contain all the disappeared elements. Now first, I initialized a for loop over here, and as you can see that I initialized a I variable loop variable as I, which starts from 0 and will go strictly less than. As you can see that it is strictly less than, not equal to, strictly less than nums dot length. And this is the updation command, which would increment the value of I by 1 after each and every iteration. Now here the is the main source of this whole question. As you can see that I am creating a integer value. We can simply name it index. So first I need to do this as well. Just a second. Okay, let it remain to in. So yes, in is you can say is an index, and how I'm getting my index. As you can see that I'm using math.abs nums at ith index minus 1. So what I'm doing over here is that I am taking the element from the nums and using it as the index. So as you can see, the mat.abs would return me the magnitude of the value that is inside the parenthesis, no matter how, if it is positive or negative. If it is positive, then it would return the positive number. It is If it is negative, then mat.abs would return me even then mat.abs would return me the positive value of that number. And I'm using -1 over here because as we know that the whole array is the index of the whole array starts from 0, or we can say that the array is always 0 based index. That's why I am minusing 1, because the maximum index that the array of, for example, 8 of array of length 8 over here, the maximum index the array can hold is of 7. That's why, which is 8 minus 1. That's why I'm using -1 over here, just to iterate over the indexes. Now what I am doing over here is that if nums dot at index in, so element at the index in. Now remember, I get the in from the element at the ith operation, and I am also minusing 1 just to stay within the limit of 0 to till n minus 1. So I am first checking if the element at this index is greater than 0. It means that if it is positive or not. If it is not positive, then as you can see that I am updating that element as -1. Now what's happening in this for loop is that I am using the elements inside the nums as the index to show their presence, that yes, we are available in the index. And how they are showing it, by using themselves as the index, and whatever element is that is on that index, and converting it to negative number, just to show that okay, the for loop has iterated over the index this, which means that this element is present in the whole array. Now I am simply going to show you with an example how this all thing is happening. Now, for example, we have an array let's simply take this array. Okay. For example, we have 4, 3, 2, 7, 8, 4, 3, 2, 7, 8, 2, 3, and 1. Okay, so how the for loop would start? First, I would go to index I over here. Now, after that, what would happen? I would give the index variable that I created over here, the positive value of this number, which is 4, and 4 minus 1 is 3. So 4 is representing the index 3. So at the index 3, we can say that 1, 0, 1. Let me just get to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this above here is the index, index. This is the index, and this is the whole array. Okay, and I is iterating over 4. Now, just a second. Yes, I is iterating over 4. No, so, sorry, the normal array. Now over here you can see that first I is 0, so it would return the inside the index value, it would return 4 as the value, and mat.abs would convert it to positive number, and after that the in value is storing a decremented value, which is 4 minus 1, which is 3. So the element 4 is representing the index 3 over here. Now at the third index it is 7, as we can see that. Now it would go to the first if command. As we can see that the at the index in, the value is positive, which is positive 7. Now it would convert it to negative by updating the value, or you can say by multiplying the existing value with -1. Now this 7 has been converted to -7 over here. Now after that, the while loop will again starts iteration, and i's value now would become 1. Now the in value would get the element at the first second, or you can say second index, or you can say the one index, which is 3 over here. Now 3 would get inside the math.abs, and in would store 3 minus 1 value, and 3 would represent the index 2 over here. Now at the index 2, as you can see, the value is sorry for that. As we can see, the index 2 represents the element 2, and it is positive. So it would convert it. The if command would trigger itself, and then will multiply -1 to that number, and it would become -2 over here. Okay, now i's value would again get incremented. So now i's value is 2 over here, and it would give math.abs the whatever element is that ith index. Now, currently I is 2 over here. So I would return -2 in the math.abs function inside the parentheses of the math.abs function. So math.abs would convert it to positive number and it would represent 2. Now 2 minus 1 would represent the index 1. So the two element 2, not the negative integer. I'm only considering positive integer. So the element 2 would represent the index 1. Now at the index 1, as we can see that it is a positive value. So again, the if value, if command would trigger and it would convert it into the negative value. So this is how the iteration is going on. Now again, i's value would be incremented to 3. Now the -7 would the I num dot I, or you can say the element at the ith index inside the nums array is now -7. So math dot abs would convert it to the 7, and 7 minus 1 would store inside the index. So the element 7 would is now representing 6 as the index. 7 minus 1 is 6, and at this 6 index, as we can see that 3 is positive over here. Now, as we can see that it is saying if command, again, it is checking if the element at the ion index inside the nums is greater than 0, which means if it is positive or not. So as you can see that it is positive. So now it would convert 3 to -3 by multiplying by -1 to it. Now again, the i's value would increase and it would go to 4. Now it is providing the ion value as 7, because 8 minus 1 would represent the 7 index. So 7 at the seventh index, as you can see that it contains the element 1, which is positive, which is a positive number, and again the if statement would trigger and convert it to the -1. Now, oh sorry, just a second. Now again the ith value will get incremented. Now it would give the math.abs function 2 over here, which is at the fifth index 5 index, and so it would provide 2 over here. So 2 is already a positive number. If it still it would provide a positive number. Math.abs would provide a positive number, and 2, as we know, 2 represents the one index. So it would store 2 minus 1 value. Now, as we know that in the 2, as you can see that at the 1 index, the value is already negative. So what would happen over here is that it would ignore this if statement, because the nums dot in, now in contains 2 minus 1, which is 1. So at the 1 index, the element is already less than 0. So if won't trigger, if command will not trigger. Now it would go to it would now we first let's take note wherever the element is already negative. Now at what index? So as we know, the element was already negative at the 1 index, but how did we get that 1 index? With the help of 2 index. Now sorry, 2 with the help of 2 element. So the 2 element in the current iteration was at 5th index. So I am storing 5 first. Now i's value would get incremented, and now i's value is 6 over here. So I represent the element that we would get is -3, and it would convert it to positive number. Now the element 3 represents the index 2. So in would store 3 minus 1 value, which is 2, and it would check if they at the second if inside the nums at the second sorry, at the 2 index, not second index, um the in at the 2 index, whether if it is positive or not. Now as we can see that at the 2 index, the odd number is already negative. So now again the if command won't trigger. So how did we reach to this -2 or if through index 2, and how did we get this index 2 is through the element -3 at the ith index. Now the currently the ith index is at 6, so we'll store 6 number. Again, the number I would go would store to would sorry would get incremented to index 7. Now at the index 7, the nums dot I would return -7, but mat dot abs would convert that -7 into the +7. And this, as we know, the element 7 would represent the index 6. So the in would store 7 minus 1 value, which is 6, and it would check if nums at in. Now in currently contains 6 value is positive or not. So as we know that in the sixth value as well, it is not positive. So next, what we are going to do is that we are again iterating, we are again making a loop over here. Now what is going to happen over here is that we will start the loop from I is equal to 1, not 0. So we are iterating at 0. Sorry, I just made a mistake. As we can see that the last I did the last iteration wrong. Yeah. So I currently value is 7 over here, and it would provide the nums square bracket I the value of -1, because at the 7 index the element is -1, and the math.abs would convert that value into the positive, and the one element would represent the index 1 minus 1, which is 0, the first element. So it would go to first element, and as you can see that it is a positive number. So if command would again trigger, and it would convert it to -4. Now that's how the iteration of the first for loop is going on. Now as we can observe that, first observe that wherever the negative number, wherever there is a positive number, the value is not present over there. Sorry, you can say that wherever the element is positive, the I plus one element is absent. Because as I told you, the element itself are representing the indexes, and if the index is has not been triggered, it means that that element was absent inside the whole array. So that's why, as you can see that because it is a zero-based index, we'll consider the value as 1 plus 1, the current index, whomsoever is currently having a positive number after the first for loop iteration. Now, as I told you, the element inside the array itself are being used as the index for letting the array know their presence. And how are they letting the array know their presence? By getting themselves minus by 1, because as I told you, the indexing starts from 0, so automatically all the numbers would corresponding to that have to minus themselves by 1 to represent their own unique indexes. So add if for example, as you can see that at the fifth index the element is positive over here, and as we know that it is beginning from 0, the element that should represent the fifth index is 6. And as we can see that in the whole array, 6 is not present, which means that the sixth element didn't occur in the for loop even once to let its presence known inside the array by converting the value at its own unique index into negative. And now, as we can see that in the 4 as well, the 8 is positive over here, which means that 4 plus 1 element, 4 plus 1 is 5. It means that 5 element is not present inside our array. So again, the same thing goes on. As we can see that 5 is not present. So 5 minus 1, which is the unique index that is represented by the 5 element 5, was not triggered even once in the for loop, and that's why the value is positive over here. Because let's take another case. For example, the index over here is 2. Now the element that represents this index is 3. So because 2 plus 1 is 3. So as we can see that it is negative over here, and we can again observe in this code as well that 3 is present over there, which means that this 3 triggered the for loop to go to its own unique index that this 3 represents, which is 2 in this case, and make it negative, which is letting us know, okay, that 3 is present, and that's why the index that 3 represents is negative. But for the case of 4 and 5 index, which represents the element 6 and 5, it is positive, which means that 6 and 5 are the only integers that are not present inside the whole array. Now to after that, I'm simply checking the whole array and simply adding the I plus 1 index inside my answer list, wherever my iterator I would trigger a positive value. As you can see that I simply initiated a for loop, but over here you can see that I'm iterating using I is equal to 1, not 0. So we can also iterate it using 0 as well, but I'm using 1 over here. I again show you the iteration using 0 also. So first I'm using the iterator as 1, or I initialize the loop variable I as 1, and it would go to nums.len equals to it. Now as you can see that it is less than equals to, because I am using I as 1 over here. Then if I use strictly less than over here, then it would go till 7 only, but the nums.length is 8, so it would miss the last iteration. And that's why, just to rectify that, I'm using less than equal to over here. Now again, the loop updation is as usual, I plus plus, which will increment the i's value by 1 after each and every iteration. Now as you can see that if nums I minus 1, as I told you, I'm using I as the element. We know that the range is of the each and every element is from 1 to n, and n is the length of our whole array. So I'm using again, I'm using the element as to represent its own unique index, which would be given us by minusing 1 from the current element. So I you can say that this for loop is currently iterating over 1 to n range. If there is a 1 to n range, and that's why I would always check I minus 1, and if it is positive, then it would simply increment, or you can say add the, sorry for that, if it's encounters a value which is greater than minus 1, or you can say sorry, you can say which is greater than 0, it would still run. Yes, which is greater than 0. It means that it is a positive value. Just a second. Okay, there's an error. I'll rectify that. So yeah, if it encounters a positive value, it means that that element didn't trigger the first for loop, and that is missing. That's why I'm adding that I value inside my answer list, and after that I am simply returning the answer list. Now let me just simply run the test cases. As you can see that all my test cases have been passed. As you can see that my code has been successfully submitted. Now, as I told you, the this for loop is currently iterating over the range I 1 till n, and each element within the range would have its own unique index, which is represented by the element minus 1. And now I'm converting this loop into a loop which would iterate through the index of the nums array. I is equal to 0, it represents the first element, and it would strictly go less than nums dot length. And if it triggers, now I do not need to do minus 1 over here, because I am using the loop as the iterator over the indexes. So there is no need for minus 1 over here, because if I did minus 1 over here, then it would give me out of bound error, because I is already 0. And if we again minus 1 from it, then the value is minus 1, and array doesn't support negative indexing, and that's why it would show us out of bound error. Now, it triggers, if it triggers a positive value, if command catches a positive value at the ith index, then the if command would trigger itself, and it would add the value I. Now, as I told you, in this case I'm using I as the index. Now, to store the element that is represented by that index, unique index, it would be I plus 1, because as I told you, each element in this range contains 1 till n, and it represents the index, its unique index, which is whatever the element is within that range minus 1. But now in this case, I am using the reverse math over here. Now taking out the element using the index. So it would automatically be, we should plus 1 inside the index to get the element that that index represents. So that's why I'm adding plus 1 over here. Now I simply straightly submit the solution. As you can see that it still work. Now coming to the time complexity of this whole code. Now the time complexity of this whole code would be 2 times n, because I'm using for loops 2 times, and both of the for loop are iterating n times. So the overall time complexity of this whole loop would be O of n, or you can say constant, sorry, O of n. Because it is always running, we ignore the integer value, so it is O of n overall. Well, that's all for the solution for this question. Thanks for watching.